football talk.
Well, today we were going deep into the heart of Arsenal's playing style. And, how should we say?
Controversial.
Yeah, maybe a little bit controversial at times, especially because some fans are even going so far as to compare Arteta's Arsenal to Stoke City.
Under Tony Pulis.
Exactly.
You know, the team that basically lived for a long ball and a good set piece.
I mean, come on. Are we really saying Arteta's playing FIFA career mode with just the cross button?
Well, that's what we're here to find out, right?
Exactly. So we dug into this awesome Reddit thread full of Arsenal fans giving their raw, unfiltered thoughts on the team style. And let me tell you, it's a wild ride.
Yeah, those Reddit threads always deliver.
Some fans are all about the efficiency, praising the results. But then you got others practically in mourning for the lack of, the beautiful game.
Right, that classic Arsenal flair that Wenger instilled.
Exactly.
Like,
So is this comparison to Stoke just some banter, or is there something more to it?
that's the million-dollar question.
All right, so let's jump right into the Reddit thread itself.
Yeah.
It's a goldmine of passionate takes and some seriously funny comments.
Oh, I can only imagine.
One user even jokes that Arsenal's entire strategy is like cross and inshallah.
That's hilarious.
I know, right? I mean, it's obviously a joke, but it kind of reflects a certain sentiment among some fans, right?
Absolutely. And to understand that sentiment, I think we need to look at the actual stats from last season.
Okay, so lay it on us. What are the numbers saying?
Well, 18% of Arsenal's 91 goals came from set pieces.
Okay, so
That's not an insignificant number.
not insignificant at all, and I guess that does lend some weight to the whole Stoke City comparison, right?
Yeah, you could say so.
But here's where it gets interesting. Another 10 goals came from penalties,
Oh, yeah, that's right.
which means a big chunk of their goals are actually coming from open play.
You're right. And let's not forget, they had Odegaard pulling the strings in midfield last season.
Yeah, he was on fire.
Leading the league in creating chances from open play.
So it's not just set pieces, right?
Exactly. It's more nuanced than that.
Okay. But we can't ignore the elephant in the room, this Stoke City comparison.
Right. Let's talk about it.
I mean, Tony Pulis' Stoke was famous or infamous, depending on who you ask for, their very direct and physical style.
And let's be honest, not always the prettiest brand of football.
Definitely not the Arsenal of old.
And it's pretty ironic considering Arsene Wenger was a very vocal critic of Stoke's tactics back in the day,
Yeah, he wasn't a fan.
often condemning their long ball approach and that physicality. So now to have fans comparing his beloved Arsenal to that same Stoke City,
It's quite the role reversal.
it really is.
And, one comment even brought up that infamous incident with Aaron Ramsey's leg break.
Oh, gosh, yeah, it's Stoke under Pulis.
I mean, that's how aggressive they were.
Right.
So are we really saying that Arsenal plays with that same intensity?
Well, I don't know about the same intensity, but I do think the comparison brings up some interesting questions about how Arsenal's style has evolved under Arteta.
It's definitely a different era.
Are they sacrificing that beautiful, free-flowing football that Arsenal was known for in favor of a more pragmatic, results-driven approach?
Yeah, I think that's the heart of what we're trying to unpack here. It's
Right.
not just about whether they're playing like Stoke. It's about understanding how they're using set pieces within their bigger tactical framework.
Right.
Are they just strategically using a strength, or are they becoming too reliant on it?
Exactly. Are we seeing tactical evolution or a worrying trend?
I guess that's what we need to figure out.
And that's what we'll dive into as we keep dissecting this Reddit thread and all the different fan opinions.
All right, so let's keep going then, because there's a lot more to unpack.
Definitely.
Okay, so we've talked about how Arsenal gets a good chunk of their goals from set pieces. But is that really that weird in the Premier League?
I mean, think about it. Other teams have definitely found success with mastering set pieces.
Yeah, like who comes to mind for you?
Well, I mean, you can't talk about set pieces without mentioning Rory Delap's throw-ins for Stoke City.
Oh man, those were legendary.
They were basically set pieces themselves, you know?
Yeah, it was.
And they caused absolute chaos in the box.
It was like a weaponized catapult.
Exactly. Teams knew it was coming, but they just couldn't stop it.
But it wasn't just about Delap's technique, right?
No, definitely not.
It was the whole system, Stoke, built around those throw-ins.
Right, like how they positioned their players, the runs they made, the sheer physicality in the box.
They turned it into a science.
It really was a well-oiled machine.
And that's what I find interesting about how Arsenal's approaching set pieces now.
Yeah, what do you mean?
Like, they've clearly seen it as an area where they can get a real advantage.
Right, they've put in the work to become super efficient.
It's not just luck.
No, they're not just hoping for a lucky bounce or something.
It seems like they've got these really well-coordinated routines.
And they're using their players' strengths to their advantage.
One comment in the thread even said that watching Arsenal attack set pieces is like watching a perfectly rehearsed dance routine.
I love that analogy.
Like everyone knows their steps. The timing is perfect.
And the execution is flawless.
And I bet that does something to the other team mentally, you know?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Just knowing that Arsenal could score from pretty much any set piece.
It must be so intimidating.
Like defenders have to be on high alert constantly.
No, and they might overcommit or make a mistake.
Which opens up other opportunities for Arsenal, right?
Exactly. It's like this tactical chain reaction.
One strategic advantage can impact the whole match.
For sure.
And speaking of strategy, let's talk about how Arsenal's set-piece game has evolved under Arteta.
Okay.
Because it wasn't that long ago that they were actually pretty bad at defending set pieces.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Like constantly conceding goals from corners and free kicks.
Pundits had a field day with that.
I know they were questioning everything.
Their organization, their concentration, even their players' height.
Right, like were they tall enough to compete?
Exactly, but now they've totally flipped the script.
Yeah, they went from vulnerability to being a real threat.
And that kind of transformation doesn't just happen overnight.
It shows a change in their whole approach.
Right, in their training, their recruitment, their philosophy.
Arteta clearly saw set pieces as something to focus on.
And he made a real effort to improve.
And now look at the results.
But the question is it sustainable?
Yeah. Can they keep this level of set-piece efficiency going?
Will other teams figure them out, adapt their tactics, neutralize that threat?
And is this focus on set pieces taking away from their creativity and open play?
Right. Are they sacrificing the beauty of the game for this more pragmatic approach?
Those are the big questions we need to think about as we continue this deep dive. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here, the stats, the Stoke comparisons, how Arsenal's set-piece game has evolved under Arteta.
But there's another layer we haven't touched on yet.
Which
A
is?
psychological impact.
Oh yeah, for sure. Set pieces can really mess with a team's mindset.
Absolutely. I mean, for Arsenal, knowing they're so good at set pieces must be a huge confidence boost.
It's like having this secret weapon.
Right. Imagine knowing that no matter what, you have this almost guaranteed way to create scoring chances.
Even against the toughest defenses.
Exactly.
But on the flip side, think about the pressure on the other team.
Oh, yeah, it's like a pressure cooker.
They're so worried about conceding from a set piece that it might affect their whole game.
For sure, they might play more cautiously, sit back, deeper, which ironically could open up space for Arsenal in open play.
It's like this fascinating tactical dance.
It really is.
Speaking of tactical dances, there was this one comment in the thread that really stuck with me.
Oh, yeah, what was that?
It was about the stay humble narrative that seems to surround Arsenal.
Yeah, some fans are worried all this hype might go to the players' heads.
And it got me thinking, isn't that like a classic football dilemma?
Oh, yeah, for sure. When does confidence become arrogance? When does ambition turn into complacency?
I think Arsenal this season will be a fascinating case study in how to manage expectations.
Definitely. And how do you balance refining your strengths, like set pieces, with evolving your overall game?
Because let's face it, at some point, opponents will figure out how to counter those set pieces.
Absolutely. Success in football is all about adapting and evolving.
No team can rely on just one trick forever.
Exactly. And look, I'm not saying set pieces are bad,
No, they're a part of the game.
but for Arsenal to reach that next level, they need to show they have more in their arsenal.
Pun intended.
Maybe.
So it's all about finding that balance, right?
Exactly. Can they maintain that set piece dominance while also developing a more well-rounded attack?
I think that's what makes this season so exciting.
For sure, we're seeing a team in transition.
Figuring out who they are.
And that's always a captivating story.
Well, on that note, we'll leave you to ponder all of this.
And hopefully we've given you some food for thought.
Remember, this deep dive is just the beginning. We encourage you to check out the links in the show notes, continue the conversation online, and most importantly, keep watching this beautiful game unfold.
There's always something new to discover.
And who knows what surprises await us in the world of football.
I can't wait to find out.
Until next time, happy watching.